Welcome to FinScale, a podcast created by Solen Niederkorn, shedding light on innovation in finance, banking, and insurance.
Powering Gemini and Kraken with scalable and secure solutions. Oliver Tonkin, CEO and co-founder of BCB Group.
We did have an extensive search for what's the best option, what's the best product, for us. So we were looking around, what's the approach to security, for example, operational resilience, expertise, scalability, all that kind of good stuff. And as I said, we were also mindful of the fact that MiCA's coming down the line imminently. It's going live for this offering at the end of the year. So there's obviously InfoSec, so outsourcing piece, which we also have to be kind of mindful of. So all those things were kind of in the mix.
For those who are not familiar, BCB Group is Europe's leading payment service provider for digital asset economy. A pioneer in the industry, they have gone through the process of becoming regulated as an authorized payment institution in the UK and in Europe. We speak with Olly about these regulatory choices, including the decision to operate in France. We detail their offerings and how this UK-born company serves large clients like Gemini and Kraken. One of the points I also had in mind is the consolidation of custody and governance of its digital asset operations on Metaco, now part of Ripple. We discuss what this brings in terms of scalability and security, as well as the challenges related to their status as a regulated institution. You'll see that it's quite a project, well managed. Enjoy the show. Hello everyone. Hi Olly.
Good morning. Good afternoon, rather. Apologies. Good afternoon.
Yes, good afternoon. Okay, so I'm thrilled to have you on the podcast. And we have so many interesting topics to dive into because you've done such a great job those last 10 years. So congratulations for that.
Thank you.
Okay, may I start by asking you to introduce yourself to our audience and tell a bit more about your way from investment to entrepreneurship?
Okay, well, good afternoon, everybody. My name is Oliver Tonkin, co-founder and CEO of BCB Group. In terms of who I am as a person, my background, I'm a qualified English solicitor, English lawyer of 24 years qualification now. So I've done the rounds in terms of my sort of legal career. I was a practicing lawyer in a large UK, global law firm now for a number of years. Then I worked in a corporate team at a large US corporate for several years, doing financial services work. I did an MBA while I was there. And then I ran an investment business, co-ran an investment business for a number of years, doing M&A, VC advisory and principal investing. Before in 2017, I helped set up what is now BCB Group. So that's my journey from, I guess, being a kind of lawyer to being something else.
Perfect. Thank you. So what is the genesis of BCB Group? How did it happen in the beginning? How did you launch the business? It was a different ecosystem with different stakeholders at that time, so completely different. Also, the mindset, people in the market was not so mature also in the head of the finance world. So how did you make it? And what was the vision in the beginning?
Yeah. So, BCB is 7 years old. We launched the business in May 2017, and we launched it originally as a sort of cryptocurrency of digital asset brokerage. So we were basically arranging, executing digital asset trades, many Bitcoin at the time, in and out of Bitcoin for high net worth individuals, some corporates, people kind of like that. It was designed as being a kind of a concierge type service. People may remember that 2017 was really the first big crypto bull run that had, I'd say, main market interest. There have been spikes before, but no one really paid that much attention. And then 2017 was really the first one. Second half of 2017, Bitcoin price went from $1,000 to $20,000, and then went down again. But we were lucky enough to kind of ride that wave, 2017, and did quite well. So that was how the business started. But one of the big challenges that we found during that period was very, very hard, where you had fiat currency, fiat money being used for the on and off ramp to actually get and keep bank accounts that allowed us to kind of do that at the kind of volume and size of transactions that we were doing. We found we opened a bank account, we would use it for a few months, and then the bank's compliance would look at it and go, we don't like it very much, and they would close the account. So that was becoming a problem for us. So we came up with the idea of, well, why don't we set up our own sort of in-house captive payment business, get a payment service license, UK payment service license, and that would then allow us to access banking from the more specialist banking providers that are happy with licensed businesses, even licensed businesses that were doing the kind of flow that we were. So that's what we did. So we went to the UK regulator, got a payment license in 2018, and we're able to use that to then open payment rails for ourselves, and that was great. So that gave us that certainty which we hadn't previously had, and we started to realize that the customers we were dealing with and our liquidity providers, our kind of trading counterparties, were also having the same problem. So they asked us, well, can you help us? Can you use that license? Can we use your rails, license? And we said, well, okay, let's see if we can make that work. So so we did. So we made some investment into the payment platform that previously wasn't really a sort of designed for any external customer use. Set up a console, got that going, and we found quite quickly that it got people. We were winning customers just for that, and winning a lot of customers, and volumes for that was starting to increase. So we went from doing, tens of millions of kind of pounds, euros a month just in our trading business, to doing first hundreds of millions a month and then billions a month just on the payment side. So we decided, I guess 2019, 2020, that we should maybe still do the crypto piece, and we still do it now, but pivot and focus more attention on providing that payment ecosystem for the industry. And that's really where we got our traction. So it's been a sort of exponential pretty much over the 5-6 years in terms of volumes and revenue from just purely for that. So so we now say, we're now licensed still in the UK, licensed in Switzerland, and also most recently in France through an EMI license that we got in May last month. Now it's possible to throughout the European Economic Area. And so that's now the main part of our business. But you're providing that payment infrastructure to the industry. So exchanges, OTC desks, liquidity providers, investment funds, really any kind of corporate entity, any kind of vehicle that's got a nexus to crypto, to digital assets, we can help them, store value, move value, but it's for its fiat or digital assets around our ecosystem on and off ramp to wherever they want. That's now what we do.
And how do you, when you launched the activity, the B2B activity, and you started having external professional clients, how also from a pure tech perspective, when you develop something for your company, your own clients, it's completely different than when you develop it for other external clients, other businesses. So did you have a lot of efforts to do a lot of changes, transformation to make it open to external businesses?
Well, yes, absolutely. That's kind of, as I said in my last comment, we had to transform what was an in-house platform for ourselves, which didn't need to be kind of, the kind of user experience didn't have to be that great because we just used it ourselves. To actually then offer a product externally, it's obviously got to be a good experience. People have got to, enjoy using it, like using it, because if that isn't the case, you don't last very long. So yes, the answer is yes. We obviously did have to invest our own time and resources in building a kind of front end, a kind of platform that would sit in front of the kind of bank platform, which isn't particularly pretty or particularly user friendly, but again, it doesn't really need to be for them. And make sure our customers have got the best experience they possibly have. So that's been an incremental improvement over time. Obviously, you're always adding new features and aspects to the offering, but absolutely yes, there was significant time and resource, which is still ongoing now. To ensure that the offering is fit for purpose and relevant in the market as it evolves.
You have an expansion in Europe via France. You recently announced that you established France, and Jérôme, who nicely made the intro to you, he's the managing director for France business. So what influenced your decision to establish France as your regulatory base in Europe?
Yeah, it's a really good question. We did look around. Obviously, since Brexit, it's become much harder, obviously, for kind of UK businesses to provide services in the European Economic Area. To leverage other banking and infrastructure is kind of really hard. So we had to do it. We did look at other jurisdictions, and the purpose of this podcast is not to be kind of rude or cast aspersions on any other jurisdiction. But I think why France was the right place for us was that it's very much a tier one jurisdiction within the EU. I mean, you've got obviously France, Germany, Netherlands, Belgium, Luxembourg, the other countries like that, all kind of strong tier one jurisdictions. But I think what differentiated France in terms of what we were trying to do was that there's definitely, and I think the fact there's now an ecosystem very much in kind of Paris and other large blockchain crypto businesses have chosen France as their hub for a similar reason. I think, are very much a kind of government-led, or at least current. Hopefully it'll kind of carry on, post the recent elections in France, but very much a kind of government-led drive towards being crypto friendly as a jurisdiction. And that's right at the top down. You've got the two regulators in France, the ACPR and the AMF, both very much open for business in terms of this industry. I mean, we first approached the ACPR and the AMF in like 2 years ago, and just said, look, this is what we're trying to do. Would you welcome our application? And there was obviously some Q&A and some questions, but yes, the conclusion was that they would welcome the application. So that it was very clear from the start that they were very much open for business for this industry. So that's the reason.
Okay, there is an attempt of acquisition that you made in Germany with Sutor Bank, if I'm correct, that faced regulatory hurdles. So did it influence your decision to approach France, entering? No, but
the Sutor Bank was a project. It didn't work out, and
that's it.
That's what it is. I don't really have much to say about that on this podcast, but I think, as I say, I don't want to be disrespectful to Germany or any other EU country. I mean, they're all credible, strong jurisdictions, but I think if you are going to choose a jurisdiction somewhere, certainly the lessons that I would learn and kind of draw from experience are, before you do that, you just make sure that you've got a regulator and a government that is going to welcome what you're trying to do. Because, as I say, I mean, you can be an EMI anywhere in the EU. There's the regime at EU level is the same, although how they adopt it in different member states is very different. But as I say, I was very happy, having spent the time with ACPR, explain what we were trying to do, explain how we mitigated the risks which exist in any business, but particularly in a digital asset focused business. I was comfortable that they were understood those risks. They were happy with how we were going to deal with them, and they were welcome our application. And of course, again, it's 2 hours on the Eurostar from London, so that does add a bit of convenience versus somewhere we maybe have to fly, or it's a bit further away. I mean, because I'm a director of the French businesses, so it's important for me to be able to be there relatively often. Having the mixture of a welcoming government, a welcoming regulatory environment, quite a burgeoning, I'd say, crypto ecosystem in and around Paris, which I think is for the good. It was the right place for us to be. So I'm having got the licenses now, both the crypto licensing from the AMF and also the French EMI. I'm very pleased with our decision, and I think it was the right one.
Thank you. So you have a prominent clients. I'm thinking of Gemini or Kraken, huge ones. So do you think that these partnerships influence in a certain sense your service offerings? And if yes, in what ways?
Well, we're sort of customer agnostic, obviously. I mean, all our customers, I would hope, get a high level of service, and I think that's actually differentiated for us versus maybe others. I mean, is that the kind of the level of service that we're able to offer to customers in terms of a sort of a real person at the end of a line who'll be who's got an SLA to an internal SLA to respond and deal with issues as they arise quickly is a differentiator. But of course, if you've got large customers that you value, it is important that you're able to give them a high level of service, a strong user experience, and I think we're able to do that. So yeah, I think people come to us and they tend to stay with us because we offer a strong product, a good level of service. We look after our customers well, but I mean, that's not to be complacent in any way. It's the world keeps turning. In some ways, you're always running to stand still to make sure that you can maintain the offering that you do at that kind of high level. I think that's super important. It doesn't matter who the customer is. We try and give the best experience that we possibly can.
And if we go through the different products that you offer, could you please describe the main products currently that you offer, so it gives a bit of flavor for the audience?
Sure. So I mean, principal offerings are obviously that we've got the fiat on off ramp, the multi-currency fiat on off ramp, to allow any customer to either receive their own funds into an account or their customers' funds into an account in relation to digital asset crypto transactions or FX transactions as well, and the other way around. So it's a standard on an off ramp solution, which is I think kind of well understood. We also provide a product called Blink, which is our own proprietary internal settlement network. So that that allows customer A on BCB's platform to transact with customer B instantly in real time, 24/7, 365, and that's across jurisdictions, across entities, across banking partners. And so there's no transaction as such in terms of a bank movement of transaction. It's just internal funds on our platform. And again, it's instant, it's frictionless, and it's free, but it removes the risk that you can occasionally get with a bank to bank transaction, particularly if it's of a high value. Something will be held, or there'll be a delay, or to get lost somewhere. That risk is eliminated with our network. And I mean that's been I think quite successful over the last few years, and it's what a lot of our big customers use quite a lot. So that's the main products on the kind of payment side. So we also offer an institutional FX service, crypto OTC, and also crypto payments now. So you're able to, either for you or your customer, either accept crypto with a pair of fiat, multi-currency fiat, or the other way around. And that's just been launched again with our French DAS, which is we got licensed recently. So that's the product suite right now.
Wow, extensive! You have everything. One-stop shop.
Idea. That's the idea.
Okay, great. So I was interested to that we discussed something very specific, because you announced that you would consolidate the digital asset custody operations onto Metaco's platform. So I wanted you to elaborate a little bit on the reasons of doing this, and particularly not necessarily the reason in details, but what it consists. Is it complicated also from a pure operational perspective? How do you organize this? Because it seems from the outside a bit complicated. So I wanted to have a bit of, we opened the engine and we check with you how it happened.
So yes, it is complicated. So again, as I said, we have a crypto custody payment offering. We've historically used a number of providers, which obviously has its own challenges. If you're sort of bouncing between various providers, that creates its own challenges. And as we wanted to scale and roll out our new offering, we really wanted to make sure that we had a platform or solution that we could say was was a kind of leadership position in a space where you do have to offer secure services, innovative services, and scalable services. So we did have an extensive search for what's the best option, what's the best product, for us. So we were looking around, what's the approach to security, for example, operational resilience, expertise, scalability, all that kind of good stuff. And as I said, we were also mindful of the fact that MiCA's coming down the line imminently. It's going live for this offering at the end of the year. So there's obviously InfoSec, so outsourcing piece, which we also have to be kind of mindful of. So all those things were kind of in the mix. And so after an extensive DD exercise, we selected Metaco, which is now owned by Ripple, which is a Swiss-based custody platform provider, which we felt could meet the needs that we had. And it took us a while to integrate. It's taken several months, but I say it's now live. It's now working, and it's now launched. So we're super excited about that.
Perfect. So congrats, because I can imagine it was not so easy, particularly when you have huge clients like the one that I mentioned earlier. Did it have a lot of complexities also from a regulatory perspective? Because when you have different licenses in the UK, in Europe, or in Switzerland, how do you orchestrate also the regulatory impact? Because you have to inform and get the approval, I guess, from the different regulators. Is it complicated?
It is complicated. Crypto custody, as in kind of holding crypto, obviously is intrinsically not without risk. There's been plenty of examples over the years of some really quite big providers losing crypto, and once it's gone often. So post things like FTX, other type things like that. Certain regulators are focusing quite carefully on where there are DASPs, what will now be CASPs, come the end of the year, who offer a service where they hold crypto for somebody else. They are very interested in kind of how one does that. Things like InfoSec and the standard stuff. What's the sort of, what are the gates up? What do they look like? How do you stop bad actors getting access to those wallets? What's your own InfoSec? What's your security in terms of authentication, all that good stuff, and segregation as well. So you need auditability is super important. So you can evidence to regulators that crypto that you say you hold, A, you hold, and B, it's not being commingled with anybody else's or your own. So that all those things are super important. And I mean, when we made our applications to the AMF, it was one of the things that they were interested in. What's your platform like? What is it? Who are you using? Are you building your own? Are you buying somebody else's? Are you buying somebody else's? How does that integration look like? So I mean, so it's as hard to actually explain and provide that evidence that what you're doing is right and robust and secure and auditable, as it actually is doing the actual the integration. So yes, it's been a challenge, but the fact we've overcome it, we've now got a license, as I say, and the integration is now live and the product's operational, is I think a testament to my own team, my own InfoSec and tech team have done a phenomenal job. If they're listening, well done. A phenomenal job to launch that product that we're very proud of, and I'm sure we'll have a lot of success with.
Great, thank you. I know it's very detailed. The question is very detailed, but I experienced this in the past in the domain of banking, and I know how you suffer through the process.
I would say one more thing. It'll only get harder with Mika as well, because at the moment the DASP license, it's an AML license with a bit more. But I think with Mika coming in, the InfoSec piece and the segregation piece, it's going to become really important. And I mean, if you can't evidence that, it's going to be hard to keep a license, I think. Yeah,
clearly. It will clean the market, to be honest. Yeah. Olly, I would like to ask you what you expect from tokenization and how it will influence your business in the future.
I'm fascinated by that as an idea. I mean, I think it's something which has been floating around a little bit for a while, never quite taken off. I think with certainly with the increasing institutionalization of crypto, whether it's the ETFs, other such things, you are now beginning to see tokenization of real world assets, whether it's bonds, whether it's equities, some very interesting projects, both in the UK, Europe and elsewhere. And again, that's something which a business like us, we have to be on it in terms of how we can support that industry. It's something again we are that we are looking very very closely at, and I'm very excited to see how again that's a genuine real world use case for blockchain, not necessarily crypto, but just a blockchain use case for a real world asset adoption. Really interesting, really exciting, and I think we'll hear a lot more about that over the next 12, 24 months.
Clearly, I'm a huge fan.
I'm sure.
And every time I had the chance to train people from the industry, the finance industry, this is one of the use case the first use case I put in front of my finance professionals is tokenization of real assets or tokenization of funds. It's super exciting.
Yeah.
Other parts of the world like Asia, Middle East and Latin America, where you have a lot of growth in this realm of crypto. So are those markets that you're, testing right at the moment, or is your preference to focus on Europe first and then expand?
I mean, they very much are. I mean, obviously we're a primarily kind of British European business. That's where the kind of nexus of our team and our operations are. But yes, absolutely, we are very interested and we are actively looking at expansion internationally. So the Middle East, there's a lot going on in the Emirates right now. Dubai, Abu Dhabi. There's a very rapidly developing ecosystem there. We're looking at that very closely right now. Obviously, Asia, Singapore, Hong Kong, both very much burgeoning crypto hubs. I mean, there's been a huge amount of activity in crypto historically in Asia anyway. But the fact you're now seeing very strong regime in Singapore, for example, with their Payment Services Act, a lot of people are setting up there. Hong Kong as well, again, a rapidly advancing ecosystem. So, absolutely, both Middle East and Asia, just in their own right, are fascinating markets, but also certainly as a springboard to other emerging markets, Latin Africa. Super interesting places. And I think those are actually places where you're seeing genuine real world crypto adoption at scale. So I mean, I think if we would be negligent as a business if we weren't looking very closely at those markets and seeing how we can, set up there, expand our operations there, and doing business there.
My last question is always a book recommendation or a podcast. So what do you recommend to us?
On crypto or more generally?
On generally.
Well, I mean, I'm a massive history buff. That's what I do in my spare time. So if people don't listen to it, I would recommend The Rest is History, which is by a long way my favorite podcast. So it's by two British historians, Dominic Sandbrook and Tom Holland. My favorite podcast. I would urge anybody that's interested in history in any way, shape, or form to have a listen to that.
Thank you very much, Olly, and thank you very much, Jérôme, for this kind intro.
Thank you, Jérôme. Merci, Jérôme.
And see you. Bye-bye. Thank you all for listening and sharing this moment with us. Don't hesitate to contact me on Twitter or LinkedIn to share your comments and reactions. You can also rate this episode on your favorite podcast platform. See you soon.